story, we will talk about the victim, Andre Montgomery Jr., who was only 22, and the perpetrators, James Timothy Norman, who was 36, Tarika Ellis, who was 31, Javale Anthony Hall, who was 25. If you know the show Welcome to Sweetie Pies, you probably have seen and fell in love with her grandson, Andre. Andre Montgomery Jr. worked with his Uncle Tim in his grandmother's restaurant on the show. Some pointed out how Tim was always harsh towards Andre.
So, yeah, man, and he hit me in my chest. This is one of the almost reasons why I came down here, just to change my life from all this drama stuff. And come down and still drama down here with him, and then I ain't did nothing to him, ain't made him mad or nothing.
Here's the beef. I say that the women in our family are a little too soft at raising our boys. I mean, they kind of spoil them and let them do what the hell they want to do. So I want to discipline Charles and Andre a little more than my mom and my aunts will discipline them.
After Andre's father was stabbed to death in 1995, he was raised by his mother, Michelle Griggs, in Lubbock, Texas. In 2011, he went to live with his grandmother, Robbie Montgomery. In 2014, Tim Norman, who is Andre's uncle, began shopping around for insurance policies on his nephew and finally secured one with Foster's Insurance. He was able to obtain a total of $450,000, which included an accidental death payout. He would also get additional money if Andre died within 10 years. He attempted to gain more money but was denied. Months afterwards, Robbie's house was burglarized and $200,000 was stolen. Many believed it was Andre who committed this crime, but he denied the claims and maintained his innocence. After resolving a case in Texas, he returned to St. Louis to take a lie detector test to prove that he was not the robber. Before his return, he expressed his fear that Tim will harm him to Robbie. Court documents will later claim that Tim threatened Andre, believing he was the one to rob Robbie. In a text exchange with his grandmother, Andre reassured her that he had nothing to do with the robbery and that Tim was accusing him of something he did not do. He also stated he knew what Tim was capable of and did not want anything to do with it. He followed up by saying he was not in the area when the robbery happened and feared his phone was being tapped. So overall, Andre felt that if he came back to St. Louis, something bad was going to happen to him, and if something bad happened to him, it was due to his Uncle Tim. Unfortunately, it seems that his grandma did not believe these claims. I guess she didn't believe that her son would ever do anything like that and still wanted him to come back so that they can get this whole thing over with. On March 6, 2016, Andre returned to St. Louis to take the lie detector test. Around this time, Tim was sent pictures of surveillance footage showing that Andre was in town. The person also asked him if he was in St. Louis. Tarika began to text Andre now that he was in town. They previously met each other at a club where Tarika danced. On March 14, 2016, Tim returned to St. Louis from California and texted Tarika asking her what she was doing. He then told her to come meet him at a hotel. Per Chronicles Speaks, Tarika was an escort/stripper and later Tim's girlfriend. After the transaction, they begin the plan of setting up Andre. An hour after meeting Tim, Tarika texts Andre asking to meet so he could retrieve a pair of jeans she bought him and also asking for his Instagram handle. Prosecutors believe she wanted a recent picture to give to the shooter, Travell. Around 2:37 p.m., Tarika texts Andre continuing to flirt and gauging his whereabouts for the day. After learning his address under the guise of joining him, Tarika sent his location to Travell and Tim. Around 8 p.m., Tarika arrived at 3964 Natural Bridge Avenue and called Andre outside. 2 minutes later, Andre was shot and killed. A minute after that, Tarika called Tim and left the scene. The next day, Tim flew back to California. Later, he would film a segment with his mother visiting where Andre was shot.
To the spot where Andre lost his life, because I had not been there yet. I don't think Mom had been there either.
This is it?
Yeah, that's it.
They say he came out and used the phone, so they had to shoot him right here on this porch.
We've lost a lot of family members here on this street. Andre, as of late, since Andre's passing, I haven't gone through this part of the city, and really I've been avoiding it.
On March 16th, Travell was on the phone with his brother who was serving time in jail. In this phone call, he spoke about Andre's murder and the $5,000 amount he was paid. In the following days, Tarika deposited $9,000 in multiple bank accounts in Memphis. Days later, YL, who used to be a music producer and was now an insurance agent, and Tim attempted to collect the insurance claims from Foster. According to court documents, the primary purpose of the conspiracy was for James Timothy Norman, aided and abetted by YL Yogman, to obtain and to be able to collect on a life insurance policy on his nephew, Andre Montgomery Jr. In the event of Andre Montgomery's death, by means of false and fraudulent representation regarding Montgomery's income, employment, net worth, medical history, family history, and the existence of other pending issues or denied life insurance applications. So in essence, YL co-signed that Tim's information on a life insurance policy was correct, even though it was not. In a text exchange on October 7, 2014, Tim tells YL that he has Andre with him and does not want him to know about the life insurance paperwork. YL tells him to answer the phone, to which Tim says he is with me. YL stated, "I know, watch how I do it." Later, YL tells Tim that the policy is being processed, and when Tim gets a call from the company that he pretends to be Andre, YL was able to obtain personal information on Andre, such as his social security number and last hospital records. In a text conversation with Tim, YL tells him that Andre's name may have to be placed as the policy owner, and then Tim could be recognized as the owner in 6 months. Tim replied he might not make it 6 months. In 6 months, Andre was dead. In August of 2020, Travell, Tim, Walil, and Tarika were arrested. It was later made aware that Tim and Tarika communicated via her track phone that they believed was untraceable, but that proved false. I guess Tim thought he had friends and like a good team standing beside him, but they all decided to turn against him for a lighter sentence. Travell was sentenced to 32 years in October of 22. YL was sentenced to 3 years in November of 22. Tarika was sentenced to 3 years in January of 2023. And on March 2nd, 2023, Tim was sentenced to life in federal prison. I really think that YL and Tarika deserved way more time. Way more time. So I guess with that deal being struck is why they only got 3 years. When I read this case, it really sickened me. It just sickened me to think that these people, all 4 of them, sat around for days trying to figure out, a way to make this death happen. And this boy is living his life not even knowing that 4 people are plotting against him, including his own uncle. I also think that Tim had something to do with the robbery. So he went in there and burglarized his mother's home because, of course, he is money hungry. But on top of that, it was a way to kind of set up the downfall of Andre. Even Andre believed that Tim robbed his mother's home. Tim previously spent some time in jail for armed robbery and was accused of being abusive by several girlfriends. Ironically enough, Tim often spoke to at-risk children about the dangers of crime, so he was just definitely crazy and a menace. I'm not that savvy about taking out insurance policies on others, but I do feel that if you do not have legal guardianship over the person you're taking the policy out on, that person needs to be with you when the policy is being talked about and obtained. They should be there, they should agree, and they should sign off on it because, you have a lot of people taking out policies against you and you don't even know it. May Andre rest in peace. I am so glad he got justice, and I'm so sorry that he had to go out that way because I actually enjoyed him on the show. And as always, y'all take care.
When you call me, baby,